Every good true crime case starts with a 911 call, and this one was no different. Tonight, we go back to one of our favorite cases, Sarah Boone.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
The 911 caller and murderer, our top 3 favorite letters that she wrote to the judge. Calling this a predicament. Man got locked and tortured to death inside a suitcase.
I got myself in a little situation.
I'm in a bit of a pickle, Judge. All that and what it means for your weekend on the Comm Center. Wake up, America. It's the Comm Center with Drew Breasy. It's a TV show on the internet about 2 best friends who are summoned by a small-town sheriff to investigate a former magician turned chef that's created a new type of jelly bean that can give you amnesia. It's called Rohypnol. I'm John. I'm an actual 911 dispatcher. I've been doing that in my community for 10 years, and I'm joined, as always, by my podcasting partner with police benefits. That's Drew Breasy. He was a sheriff's deputy in sunny South Florida for almost 29 years. He did patrol investigations, undercover narcotics work where he had to dress as a lady in a frilly Southern Belle outfit. Drew, how are you doing this past week?
Doing great. Had a little bout, but I'm much better now. I was at that point in the fever where no matter where you move, you're freezing. But I think I've beat it. I think they call it scurvy.
Callously turning away from any concern for you, I want to talk about Sarah Boone, who is our favorite case on here. We did a whole series on the Sarah Boone case, where this was the lady down in Winter Gardens,
Florida. Yeah, Winter Park, Summer of Boone, I think is what you're.
Summer of Boone is what we called it. But she locked her boyfriend George Torres into a suitcase, videotaped the whole thing, cruelly executing him in a disturbing fashion. She showed the world that she was sentenced recently to life in prison after rejecting a very generous plea bargain. And the entire time, her case in prison, while she was in jail waiting to go to prison, was insane. She kept writing letters to the judge. She fired like 8 or 9 of her attorneys. So this is dated April 20th, 2022. This is addressed to Judge Wayne C. Wooten, who was the first judge on the case. This case went on for so long that Judge Wooten actually retired. I didn't get to see it through to the end. And there was a different judge that would eventually come on. Sarah writes him a letter. Dear Judge, this is in reference to the Sarah Boone case, and she gives all the relevant numbers. This is a motions for a withdrawal and continuance. Now, we have to remember, Sarah Boone probably at this point doesn't have an attorney, and if she does have one, she's not listening to him. Sarah Boone has no idea how to draft a legal document. One of the common complaints in her motions when she was representing herself pro se for a brief time was that she would throw 10 ideas into one document, and then she would copy and paste the Constitution from Wikipedia and say, this is the following rights that have been violated. The judge would be very confused as to how troops have been quartered with her, but I guess that's really a Department of Corrections issue. Anyway, Honorable Judge Wooten, thank you foremost in advance for your invaluable time and concern in this very unexpected and incredibly confusing matter. I don't think it's that confusing to the judge. I think the judge has probably handled a few murders before.
Yeah, judge knows exactly what it is.
I'm writing in regards to the requested withdrawal, most importantly, of my attorney, Mauricio Padilla, and his/my team filed on 4/8/22, along with a continuance. Forgive me if this is the wrong approach in contacting you directly. I did try to find your phone number, but you are not listed in the book. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't say that. But I wanted to be fully aware of the magnitude of my shock and disappointment, which, by the way, are both legal concepts, in the betrayal of Mr. Padilla, and I have not in any way, by anyone, been provided any explanation for the aforementioned withdrawal, etc. I know what you're thinking. You're doing a terrible job at reading that letter. No, she just did a terrible job at writing it. She writes like a 4-year-old. She seriously will put together like 3 or 4 half-formed ideas and throw them in a sentence, and then she just ends it with etc. Like, you know what I mean? I unfortunately had to learn of these documents by my former husband when calling to speak with my son. Do you see what I mean? That's not a good sentence. After making a commitment to me as my attorney over the past 2 years and 2 months ongoing to fully and sufficiently represent me, also being made to believe we were a team, I am completely blindsided. Nevertheless, is how this was and is being handled by a professional. I do not understand. Sarah, that makes 10 million of us.
Yeah.
We could barely understand what you're writing. What she's saying is that she had an attorney who said would be her legal partner, represent her professionally, help her with her defense. But Sarah's a little bit batshit, and she's got a bit of an attitude. And it's not a surprise to me at all that as someone who's having a difficulty reading this, that someone would have a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, at what point is your attorney your partner? Like, I think you hire an attorney to be your representative, to do the legal translation in court, and to, basically keep you corralled. I don't know that it's a partnership, though. Like, it's a 50-50. Like, you do have to, like, you and I have a partnership right now. So, you'll do half the talking, I'll do half the talking. She's thinking that this is some kind of partnership. I do understand that a defendant wants to be kept abreast, but if it's not, if the attorney's like, yeah, that's not going to fly, it's not going to work, and you disagree with it, well, then you can't just, assert partnership and they're not being a good partner.
What's weird is that when you got my power of attorney through some trickery, you said that we would be 50-50 partners, but I would only be paid 10%. So it's very confusing. But no, you make a good point. And even later on in the trial, the judge would inform her, like, you want to be 50-50 partners with this attorney. But the truth is that the attorney doesn't have to take any suggestions from you in terms of strategy. Yes, you do have to agree to certain things. Are you going to take a plea? Are you going to be okay with an insanity defense? Like Ted Kaczynski famously would not cooperate with an insanity defense because it undermined everything that he was trying to say about the world. But she wants someone who's just going to be 50-50 with her. And the truth is that if your legal defense team is 50% Sarah Boone, you're going to get exactly what we got, which was a shit show for 4 years. With that being said, Your Honor, I am graciously requesting, this is one of her built-in little compliments that she gives to herself. I am graciously. She's saying, I am gracious in that. I am graciously requesting to be included and present, please, at this hearing on Friday, April 29th at 9:30, so I'm able to learn more and also explain the ongoing legitimate hindrances I've been facing, along with my inability to amply progress in the preparation for the upcoming trial and future. Boy, you could just tell here that she broke out a thesaurus at one point here in the law library. And, you can know what a word means and you can know a synonym for it, but you can also not know when a person would actually use that word in a legal document or even speaking conversationally. And Sarah is one of these where she has such a low opinion of herself that she feels like she has to dress it up. She's in the company of scholarly men at this courthouse. And so she feels like to represent herself better in print, she's got to break out this thesaurus. Unfortunately, it just makes her look like a 5-year-old. It is undoubtedly of the utmost importance to me to fight for my truth.
My truth, not the
Again,
truth.
I want to punch Oprah in the face for that. She's the one that started the whole my truth thing. If we wanted to translate this to reality, it is undoubtedly of the utmost importance to me to fight for my opinion.
Yeah, because like your truth. So, and this goes to identifying as something that you're not, whatever. If you want your truth, how about this, Sarah? Make your truth that you're the warden and you just pardon yourself. You know what I mean? Make your truth that, okay, well, my truth is that I'm the ultimate judge in this whole thing. Therefore, I have granted myself internet access and the keys to the cell that I'm in and the front door.
She got to that point when we broke down her summation and her final statement before her sentencing. She kind of likened herself to God in many ways. So she eventually did reach that point. I thought my attorney was doing also. Again, that is a real third grade script. I thought my attorney was doing also.
Yeah.
Thank you beyond measure for your very much needed assistance. I need the judge to assist me on this case. I'm calling in a judge to assist me. I am flying blind. No shit. I don't know the process, procedure, or protocol. Any of those 3 things for any of this. since I have never been in the current situations I am in. I've never murdered someone before, Judge.
Never, underline never.
I'm eager to meet with you to further explain any all questions you have concerning about me totally not murdering that guy. Please know with great emphasis. Can't you just underline this? I just want to move forward, especially for the length of time already being incarcerated, and remedy this entire predicament. Boy, calling this a predicament is really insulting to the family and everything that happened. A man got locked and tortured to death inside a suitcase while he was filmed.
Yeah, it's like I got myself in a little situation.
I'm in a bit of a pickle, Judge.
I'm just kind of in a argy-bargy.
I hope you understand that I am in a bit of a pickle here. However, that may be in the best possible manner, having my best interest and security above all else. Do you get the balls on her? She says, have my best interest and security above all else. The judge is there to treat both sides fairly, Sarah.
Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and Sarah Boone's security and interest above
Drew,
all
do you think that she thought that this letter really would appeal to him and like win over him in kind of favor?
I don't think this was the episode, but it may have been. But you titled one of these Sarah Boone talks to her lawyer's manager, because that's basically what this is. This is basically like, yeah, I don't like what you're telling me as my attorney, as my counsel, as my lifeline right now to get me out of this little boondoggle I've tripped into. But
how did we never call this podcast boondoggle at any point?
I don't know. Oh my God! How did I?
We missed it. It went by a full year. We didn't know to call it boondoggle. Again, I thank you profusely. I await your response with further direction in order to be in attendance and proceed forward. It's not the judge's job to tell you when court is and when to show up. The clerk is supposed to let your attorney know that.
She also underlined forward so that, you know what I mean, like a little subliminal.
She underlined it twice in the last two paragraphs. I will say, though, I don't want to be just completely dogging her. Handwriting, pretty okay.
Yeah.
Use of punctuation, okay. Spelling, okay. It's just that she's got bats for brains.
I think we kind of figured that too. Like she's not dumb. She's just, I think, naive in the sense that, well, she's narcissistic to begin with, but I think she's naive in the sense that, like, yeah, this doesn't apply to me. None of this applies to me. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, she can't believe that this is happening, so none of us should believe that this is happening. And even the judge is kind of looking at her like, yeah, it's happening. Like, yes, that's how everybody that's how we treat everybody. What do you mean?
I'm sure the judge did not write a letter and reply to her because that would be inappropriate to address her ex parte. So I'm sure that he just kind of like filed this and said this is technically a part of the case and she's breached protocol by contacting me directly through the mail. And then he probably read it in open court or had the clerk do it or had the clerk file it so that both sides could read it. But what do you think the judge thought of this nonsense? Do you think he'd ever been contacted directly by a person like this before?
I don't know. I'm sure it happens. I'm especially in like child custody cases and stuff like that. I'm judges get letters all the time. I think probably in probation violations, they probably get more letters than anything else.
Probably.
But a murder defendant sending you a letter, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. I think it's a bad idea. And like you're tying the judge's hands at that point. I think she knows that. Like she thinks that that's going to put, like this is going to work in her favor somehow, that she's putting it on blast. So even the judge has to respond to it. And the judge is kind of like, yeah, okay, well, you have an attorney and that's who I'm going to talk to. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to your representative. Like, that's how the court process works.
If you watch the trial to the end, Judge Michael Kranick really had enough of her shit.
Yeah.
And if you watch, especially the closing days of the trial, he's just wasn't hearing anything. Her defense attorney coming in and trying to do anything last minute to change the outcome of the case. He wasn't having it. This court case did drag out of court for 4 years. But do you think with Judge Wooten having to listen and deal with this shit, and her constant inability to retain an attorney and get anywhere with anything. Do you think that hastened his retirement? I mean, I have to ask you this as someone who was being a police officer in the George Floyd era. Do you ever have that kind of like, Riggs moment where you're just like, I'm too old for this shit?
Yes.
And you just pack it in? You think that happened to Judge Wooten?
A long time ago, like way, I was halfway into my career. I had a really, like, one of my mentors decided he was going to retire. And his, not mantra, but like his statement was, you just know. You just kind of know when it's time to hang it up. Like, you just know, like, and I didn't quite grasp what he meant until just exactly what you described, probably what this judge experienced too. Like, I don't need to deal with this shit. I'm tired of this. Like, I'm like, this is ridiculous. And if I can't turn a blind eye to it, but yes, I can, because I can just hang up whatever I have, collect a pension, and sit on my couch and eat Oreos.
Oh, I did do a little bit of Googling here. It looks like Judge Wooten did reply to her, actually. This is dated April 20th, 2022, so same day, from the desk of Honorable Judge Wayne C. Wooten. Dear Sarah, I just bought a boat. F you. Love, Judge Wooten.
So. Is it soaked? Is it like waterlogged? Like there's water, like it's a little bit of, the lines.
There's a picture of him with a
running.
big straw hat with glasses, and he appears to be drinking a Bahama Mama. So good for Judge Wooten.
Big fat cigar.
He's enjoying his life now. Drew, before the show, we had the idea, are we going to read these letters, or are we going to have the old Ken Burns documentary style? For those of you who know who Ken Burns is, he does these great documentaries where
very timely reference, John.
We read Civil War letters, and then you pan slowly over oil paintings of all the dead people at Antietam or whatever, and they're great. They win all kinds of awards, and then you get the Ken Burns effect. Well, we don't got to do that shit in the modern era. We do have AI. So I want to leave it to everyone who's watching this right now. First of all, make sure you're hitting like and subscribe, but leave a comment below. Who did it better? My reading of the first Sarah Boone letter or AI? Leave a comment below. Say whether you'd like to see me reading more or you want to see more AI readings of the letter. But Drew, you have that keyed up. Why don't we see what AI has to do with Sarah Boone's first letter?
Why don't we? In February of 2020, Sarah Boone was charged in the death of her boyfriend, Jorge Torres. Boone claims that the couple was playing hide and seek, and Mr. Torres ended up inside of a suitcase. When Ms. Boone came downstairs in the morning, she found Mr. Torres was unresponsive and still inside the suitcase. She was charged in the case and has been through several attorneys. She wrote letters to her attorneys and presiding judges while she was incarcerated. Right, that's her the first time. Oh, look at all those letters. These are the letters from the Sarah Boone file. Return of post.
Letter number 1 to Judge Wayne C. Wooten. April 20th, 2022.
Is that
Re Sarah
voice?
Boone, case number 2020CF0026030. Motions, withdrawal, and continuance.
Judge Wooten is the lick your fingers kind of.
He has the driest fingers in all of Florida.
Right, that's what he was known for.
Honorable Judge Wooten, thank you foremost.
Don't ask me how I know.
In advance for your invaluable time and concern in this very unexpected and incredibly confusing matter. I am writing in regards to the requested withdrawal, most importantly, of my attorney, Mauricio Padilla.
She's in her cell with her nightcap.
And her pearls.
And her quill, right. And she's penned this letter and she's stuffing a proper envelope.
And his/my team filed on April 18th, 2022, along with a continuance. Forgive me if this is the wrong approach in contacting you directly.
Wow, she's aged a bit.
She's not doing well.
No, she's not handling this well.
She obviously sold her pearls for something, so.
But I wanted you to be fully aware of the
She's pretty sad.
Magnitude of my shock and disappointment in the betrayal of Mr. Padilla, as I have not in any way by anyone been provided any explanation for the aforementioned withdrawal.
How did she get a suit and tie? Or did she put her, or is this her attorney meeting with her on the other side?
Attorney also went to prison. That's why she couldn't keep an attorney.
She should have just handed the letter to him.
Etc. I unfortunately had to learn these documents by my former.
That's it. That's Sarah in her gang era.
Yes. She's pissed. Neck tattoo and
Why
everything.
why is she talking to someone face to face with a phone in her hand?
I don't know.
when calling to speak with my son. After making a commitment to me as my attorney for over the past 2 years and 2 months, ongoing to fully and sufficiently represent me, also being made to believe we were a team, I am completely blindsided nonetheless in how this was and is being handled by a professional. I do not
Quote, professional, end quote.
understand. With that being said, Your Honor, I am graciously requesting to be included and present, please, at this hearing on
Ordered. It's the gavel has banged. Ordered.
Do you think there's a judge out there that has used the gavel more than any other judge? Like, you're okay. So there's times you're going to use a gavel and not, like, you're calling the court to order, you're dismissing it, you're smashing it because you will have order in this court and people will be removed. But do you think like there's one judge out there that like has like exponentially higher gavel usage than anyone else?
I don't know. There could be. It dawned on me like, you remember those squeaker toys? Those like hammers with the squeaker toys. Wouldn't it be funny if,
like the clerk replaced it out and like, on April Fool's Day or his birthday, and every time he tried to call for order, in like a racially charged case or something, oops, and then he had to constantly call for order by
you're
by
out of
squeak
order.
noise.
He's out of order.
The whole system's out of order. Let me ask you, what kind of judge would you be though? Because I'd use that thing all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Anytime there's an objection, smash, overruled, smash, sustain, I'm using it.
Every once in a while I'd break into "We Will Rock You" with it.
Opening walnuts, really any occasion I would be using it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Friday, April 29th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. So I am able to learn more and also explain the
Sarah.
ongoing.
She obviously jotted this down while she was at Chow. She used her arm to jot this first letter
Look at
down.
this. Look at this, though. You have to commend her. She's writing this letter on the back of a law book. Can't make out which law book that is, but she obviously rented that from the law library. It's probably like Federal Rules and Procedure of Evidence for Locking Your Boyfriend in a Suitcase, Volume 9, something.
It's the Constitution.
It's
the Third Amendment.
It's longer than I remember.
Legitimate hindrances I have been facing, along with my inability to answer.
Do they, just out of curiosity, do they have those pens in jail and or
Honestly,
prison?
that looks like a pretty legitimate jail pen, but that's something an officer would have. You wouldn't see an inmate have that in the cell. Where I worked, they all had these weird like Gumby pencils that you could like bend, and if you tried to stab somebody, it just made that wah wah sound. So
we all need that because I would think this would be a danger, like chewing on that cap or something.
Yeah, it's unsanitary. Yeah.
Simply progress in the preparation for my upcoming trial and future. In my opinion, these concerns are what spurred these requests by my
Judge Licky Fingers is back.
attorney.
I like
in the
how he
first
just
place.
clearly got woken up.
It is undoubtedly of the utmost importance to me to fight for my truth, and in which I thought my attorney was doing also.
Even AI knew to emphasize that, in
Yes.
which I thought my attorney was doing that also.
Thank you beyond measure for your very much needed assistance and understanding. I am flying blind.
Oh,
I don't know the process, procedure, or
this is her Alanis Morissette era.
She was in for 4 years, Drew.
Yeah.
protocol for any of this since I have underlined never been in the current
Oh. What
You're not going to say what you said before the show, are you?
No.
situation as I am in. I am eager to meet with you to further explain any and all questions or concerns whomever may have. Please know with great emphasis, I just want to move forward, especially for the length.
Okay.
That guy just made like an X.
Yeah, he did. So, which would be alarming to anybody searching that cell. So, because generally, aren't those like, in the old time movies, like the Birdman of Alcatraz
Yeah,
or
you're
something
keeping
like
track of the
you're
days.
keeping track of your days, right? So unless he's just catching up on 2 days and he's hit number 5,
Maybe it's Roman numerals, though. Maybe he's on his 10th day. I don't know.
or 9th even, but
Could
yeah. And I don't, because it's like stacked concrete. It's subway tile pattern in the back. He's got a couple.
It's also very dusty. There's always a lot of dust right in front of the camera.
Well, he's using chalk. I mean, what do you expect?
Of time
And is this Sarah Boone?
already being incarcerated, and remedy this entire predicament.
White Power Bill looking at drawings from his children. I have to commend AI. If you look at this, there's a very convincing crayon drawing of clearly the Cookie Monster here. And Bill, White Power Bill here, strongly considering what his children have to say.
What is that tattoo on his arm?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably Nordic runes, I'm guessing.
Huh.
Whatever that may be, in the best possible manner, having my best interest and security.
He's literally looking at this like he's studying them, and as it turns out, it's just like drawings from a kid.
They're actually it's legal advice from Sarah Boone as well.
I think so too, from Sarah's attorney. What if she was right about this whole thing? Like, what if she got like correspondence like this from her attorney? What if she was right?
What if it wasn't her fault all along?
Above all else. Again, I thank you profusely. I await your response with further direction in order to be in attendance and proceed forward. Exceptionally grateful, Sarah Boone.
Beautiful, Drew. Also confusing. Really goes to show you how much AI can do and how much AI can't do. Again, if you really like that, if you want to see more of what AI could do with Sarah Boone's insane ramblings, please let us know with a comment below or what you thought of it. Drew, when you typed all that into AI, did it send out a message like, are you having a stroke? Do you need an ambulance? You know, can Google Assistant do anything for you?
The first thing it did was respond to me with the one word and a question mark, which was Sarah. Like it was asking if I was Sarah, and I was like, nope. Just one of the
Google AI pushes out a message like, it's probably a good idea that I stop representing you at this time, Sarah. Google AI is watching the news.
Even Google was fired from this case.
I have the next one dated 10/3/2022. I can read that one if you like.
Yeah, go for it.
This is addressed to Mr. Frank E. Bankowitz. Is that her attorney? I'm guessing. It was referred to the judge at some point because they've got a nice stamp that says refer to judge on it. Mr. Bankowitz. By the way, got to address this too. Sarah has no regard to the fact that the vertical line is clearly a margin. She's not supposed to be writing it.
Yeah.
It's a margin. I guess she doesn't want anyone annotating her notes. Mr. Bankowitz, I'm writing in regards to not hearing from you. Wouldn't it just be better to say, Mr. Bankowitz, I haven't heard from you?
Right.
We should do a version where I'm sure AI could do this better, but take all of Sarah Boone's letters and make it into 25 words or less to finally make some sense out of Sarah Boone. Regarding you not hearing from you, and I'm becoming very concerned after receiving no response to any of my daily calls or from the letters I've sent. As of October 3rd, you have been my court-appointed attorney for almost 3 months, 12 weeks, 84 days. So it's just to be clear, it's not 3 months and 12 weeks and 84 days. She's delineating exactly how much time with various frames of references for this attorney to understand. It's been about 3 months or 12 weeks or 84 days.
How many times has she spoken to him, though, John?
And I've only spoken to me 3 times. Here's the thing, Sarah. This court-appointed attorney has other clients who may be closer to the end of their own legal journeys than you. You might not be the only thing that he has going on. You might not be the biggest fish for them to fry right now. And not only that, but being court appointed, that means they're doing it against their will. Yeah. They don't know. None of these people actually want anything to do with you. And that's kind of what bothered me the entire time, particularly when Sarah finally resorted to writing a letter calling out for an attorney who wanted to go on an adventure to help vindicate her. I don't think she understands that nobody really wants anything to fucking do with her and that she's not special. So she mentions the 3 times they've been in contact, in July and twice in August. I've written 2 letters in the meantime also, my most recent sent on 9/12 with no response. I am unaware of the difficulties you are having in communicating with me. So how can you say that I'm unaware of the difficulties? She's implying there are difficulties, but she's also saying she's unaware of them.
Right.
Or is she saying like you are not having difficulties?
Or right. It's just basically a long way of saying, would you care to enlighten myself?
Would you care to enlighten myself? So she's saying you have video, you have phone, you have letters, and in person, especially by way of phone, which to me is the simplest form of doing so. Thank you for advising your attorney that he can call you anytime he wants, even if just for a brief update, which takes only minutes. The problem is, Sarah, there's no way anyone gets on the fucking phone with you for a few minutes. Look at this letter. This whole note could have said like, "Hey, please get in touch with me ASAP. Concerned about the case. Thanks. Love, Sarah."
Yeah, like here's how the call would go. Okay, sorry I haven't called Sarah. Here's a quick update. You killed your boyfriend. You're still in jail, and we haven't had the trial yet. What you got?
The phone call, I think, alternately would have gone like this. Well, what are my chances right now? How are things going? Let me break it down for you, Sarah. You're fucked.
You could have done this by letter.
It reminds me of Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles when he goes and he's making the appeal for the rental car. And this very sweet lady's like, "Oh, do you have a copy of your rental agreement?" "No, I lost it." And she goes, "Oh, you're fucked."
Guess that means you're
fucked. That's exactly that moment. I feel bad for attorneys, particularly court-appointed ones. Anyway, she says, this would take only minutes, and you have plenty of free time, and I'm entitled to it. I believe you giving me your personal cell number, you were going to answer. Oh, Sarah. I would at least know all is well and have a better understanding of the status of some things, what to plan on or what I may need to work on. You're in fucking jail. Just sit there.
Right.
With no communication makes my end more difficult, drawn out, and painful. All right, I understand. She's sitting there. She doesn't have anything to do. She's anxious about it. She's worried about it. She's obviously just changing up her look as she changes through various lesbian gangs inside the jail. But other than that, she has nothing to do. Please figure out whatever necessary for my phone calls to be answered. I don't know what that sentence meant. Which you will be reimbursed for.
Underline will.
Which, by the way, her current attorney is not getting paid shit, just so you all know.
No, all of them had to fight to get above the minimum or whatever it was because they spent more time on it than normal.
Right.
So if you remember, there were like special hearings or special orders that had to be drafted that requested above what the JQC or whoever awards them money.
Yeah.
Like they get a flat fee. Well, they all were like, yeah, the flat fee wasn't enough. Like I spent way more time on this thing.
It probably hurt their practices because they weren't able to help their clients who actually had a shot of getting acquitted.
Yeah, right.
The
clients that listened.
How do you get to measure that out? Like how you were able to, how the Constitution was violated for other people because their assistance to those other people was also affected, because Sarah Boone is just all consuming. It feels like at this rate of communication and meetings and you just coming on board, not having all of my discovery to go over, still on top of everything else to be done. How much longer am I going to be here added to the 32 months already? Especially if we communicate however you eventually do a month, if that. As for all of the words of months of September, I know nothing from not hearing from you. It just, grammar alone makes me really happy that from the date that she wrote this, she never got out.
Right.
I understand you have other clients, as I am one also. I understand you have other clients, as I am also one of your clients. And you've been recuperating from your back. But do you think he actually had back pain, or he just said, "Get off my back"? You're really cramped.
That could be.
You think she just took it literally? But remember, please, how long I've been here. You are my 6th attorney, not by choice. I don't want to be having you, pal. And the magnitude of my case with not knowing what's going on or how you are, how much harder it is for me. I want to get on with my life, Mr. Bankowitz. Not miss any more time necessary from my son. I've already missed 4 of his birthdays, and 3 of my own in here. Spent 3 of my own in here. I've spent 3 of my own adult birthdays in here. Please understand.
Right.
You know, I am patient. Clearly, after all the time invested, you're not patient, Sarah. You've not been allowed to leave, and you haven't left anyone alone. How can you say clearly I've been patient when no one lets you leave? It's not like, Miss Boone, will you please wait here in jail while we get this all sorted out? And then she just finally like shakes her head. She's like, no, I'm going home. So the idea that she's been patient is absurd. And still smiling?
Right, and willing to go above
and beyond whatever we need to do to properly and truthfully convey my very convoluted misunderstanding.
My misunderstood side of everything. So she's saying,
I have to go back and read that again. I am patient and still smiling and willing to go above and beyond for myself.
Yeah.
For whatever I need to do to properly and truthfully convey my very convoluted, misunderstood side of everything. Okay, so the whole thing is misunderstood. Her side is misunderstood. So she has to truthfully convey how locking up George Torres and torturing him to death in a suitcase is a convoluted misunderstanding. I want to just say that real quick, because anyone who thinks that we're doing is in very poor taste. We're on the side of George Torres, and we've done 19 episodes to say that. Sarah Boone is a cold-blooded murder. We have that. The court of law has ruled on that. And now the best way to deal with people like these, you know, some say, Drew was saying before the show, violence. He said violence is always the answer. I said ridicule.
I think you're right. I think ridicule is probably.
So I think ridicule is better. For any of those who think, well, this is in poor taste, a man died. You're goddamn right it's in poor taste. We have this woman who murdered her boyfriend, and she is making this all about her and saying that her side of it is misunderstood and convoluted, and she's willing to go over and above and beyond to do whatever she needs for herself. This woman is very subject to ridicule. Anyway.
If you think this is in poor taste, you should hear her speech at her sentencing, with the family sitting a golf ball's throw away from her. If you think this is in poor taste, and also then you should go back and watch our commentary on that, which is widely available. It's called Sarah Boone Sentencing Did Not Disappoint.
Yes, for maximum Sarah Boone unprofessional. Go back and watch that video. I'll drop a card there so you can read it. But if you want to know why we're trying this hard to humiliate her or reveal to the extent to which she's humiliated herself, it's because she deserves. She's a murderer. Anyway, her misunderstood side of everything, which I boldly told you in our meeting. Have you ever described yourself as bold?
No.
I am dedicated, ready to start, overdue. I am so very grateful, Mr. Bankiewicz, even though I don't sound like it, for you and all you are doing, even though this letter accuses you of not doing one goddamn thing. All you have done and all you will do. Thanks in advance for all you're about to do. We're in this together, and I'm so blessed you're my attorney. You know, this sounds a lot like her closing statements, though, I have to say. Like, she speaks out of one side of her mouth and then the other, because she will talk the same way about George Torres, about how much she loved him and how great he was and how great they were together and how great their good days were. And then she'll say, like, I'll always carry George with me, especially because where he stabbed me never healed.
Right.
So it's the same thing here. She goes, you haven't done one goddamn thing for me. You've only contacted him 3 times in 84 months, but I'm so grateful you're my attorney. God has put us in each other's paths for a reason, and I can't wait to see what you and he will do. I'm praying that this time 6 times the charm. I don't think she realizes how humorous that is. Do you think maybe God put this guy in your path because this guy maybe needed to be punished a little bit? I mean, why else would anyone else come across you, Sarah?
Yeah, it's karmic.
I mean, I don't want to say that George necessarily deserved anything that was coming to him, because he didn't. My firm stance is that you were the aggressor in that relationship and that George was abused. Please respond. I await your response.
Thank you profusely.
Thank you profusely and boldly and most graciously. I like how she signs her name and then prints her name.
Yeah, well, it's a signature block.
I guess.
She also CC'd Judge Wayne C.
CC'd
Wooten,
the judge on it.
Yeah, which, like, you know, it has to get to him now. And basically this whole letter was I want to get my attorney in trouble letter to the judge. It's just like she did in the sentencing hearing, where she was just talking about, just like you described, like all of our time together, but like the time he told me to go lie to the judge about whether or not, you know what I mean? Like she always just tries to sneak that in. So because she thinks that you're too dumb to realize like what she's actually trying to do. Like,
It's amazing. She's just like a vending machine. She doesn't get what she wants, so she walks up and she keeps putting coins in, and like, well, being bold, didn't do it. Saying, hey, you've not been professional communicating with me. Guilt tripping. I'm missing my son's birthday. That's not working. And then maybe, vinegar hasn't worked so far. Let's try honey. God's put us in each other's paths. Maybe 6 times the charm. It's like, how many different approaches could she take and try to convince someone to do anything? You could tell that she's maximally manipulative, that she will encounter anyone. She doesn't discern anything about who their personality is or what their response will be. And she goes, shotgun, I'm going to do every single persuasive argument I can think of. Not emotional, not intellectual, just I'm doing all of them. I'm just putting them all in here in no particular order. Here's 10 reasons why you need to do what Sarah Boone tells you. I also wanted to mention they include a picture of the envelope that it was sent in, and she writes legal mail on it 4 times. This so that correctional officers open it. Sarah, just wanted to advise you that you complaining to your attorney that he never calls you is not something that would help the prosecution. So I'm glad that you were worried about your legal mail being written.
Is that something though at the jail, John, that so they can't open it and read it or something? I mean,
that's why, but I mean, there's nothing in there that's going to be
No.
damning. So
No.
I think, yes, it's legal mail and she was right to do that. But if that had fallen into the hands of the prosecutor, I don't think that they would have gotten anything more out of it than a laugh. So
just wait until you read, wait until I read you the 3rd letter here. Because it's equally as comical. Nate Bargatze had a great observation. I heard a very quick clip of his the other night. He said, I tried to send an email attachment and it came back to me saying that the attachment is too large. And I don't know what to do.
I just did it multiple times.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Like, I'm stumped. So the best thing I could do is
just kept
try to send it again. I mean, like, I'll just keep trying to send it again. And that's basically what Sarah does. So we'll go with letter 3 here. Dear, this is very specifically 11/3/22, which is 4 weeks exactly since last letter. And this is to Judge Wayne C. Wooten. That's a good way to get on the judge's good side. To say this is 4 weeks exactly since this last letter, and you haven't really responded to me. Honorable Wooten, forgive me in advance for having to utilize your invaluable time to ask the current, quote, progress, end quote, of my case, which is implying you need to pick up your feet here, Wooten. But after not underlined, having any underlined form of communication with my attorney appointed by you, now after 11 underlined weeks and counting, after sending 4 I wonder if this is a form letter and she's just filling in those blanks like it's a Mad Libs. After sending 4 letters to my attorney appointed by you with no underlined response, and after all caps finally finding an outside resource to inform me of the uneventful, confusing filed documents online by my attorney appointed by you, I am still waiting with the perpetual question mark over my head. She is part of the Sims, first of all. Second of all, she that was one sentence. That was all one glorious sentence. Right. And it ended with a period and it had the words question mark in it. So I commend her for that. No letters, no video visits, no face-to-face visits, no answered phone calls from my attorney, or even a response from you, Your Honor, regarding one of my letters expressing my legitimate concerns of, all caps, what's going on in my case? And where's my attorney? It has now been over underlined 4 months since being appointed, all caps, another attorney, number 6 in parentheses. and not by my decision, influence, or choice in almost 3 of the 4 months not hearing from said attorney. 822 last correspondence. Why, you ask? Question marks. What is the reason? Why haven't I received a letter, even a 15-minute video update?
15-minute
Anything?
video update. Give me a 15-minute video update.
They should have used AI to do that. Even after my PTC on 1025 is what truly confuses me, and nonetheless upsets me, the fact that I was not in attendance, so I could not know what's going on in my case, especially considering I have not heard from my attorney in 11 weeks. It's either 11 weeks or it's a guy with a straight non-smile, and should have been included, all underlined. Why was I not? This is my case. Mr. Bankowitz even there to, was Mr. Bankowitz even there to represent me? I don't know anything, ellipsis, still. The problem is that my constitutional rights are incorrectly being waived, in parentheses, without my knowledge or permission. I've never signed anything or nor verbalized the idea.
What right is being waived, though? Like, specifically.
I wish to waive my appearances to any of my court dates. I want to be present for all dates going forward, please, regardless of the significance. All are significant to me since my attorney fails to relay any information in any way. If he's not going to, then I must trust myself and for myself. That I must myself and for myself. As always, my entire life.
She has to take care of herself now, just like she always has. In other words, Drew, is there any merit to this? Were they actually holding any meetings without her? And if so, how would she find out about that?
I don't know. I think that there are probably status hearings or that don't require the defendant to be there. If they're just status hearings on the case. This is not Sarah Boone's case, although she's the defendant, she's the accused, she's the important part of it. This is the state of Florida's case against Sarah Boone.
Right.
And as long as they're not doing anything like she's alleging, like withholding rights, or I'm sure there are plenty of hearings that the defendant doesn't need to be at.
It might just be like scheduling hearings. They'd be like, when did we want to go over this evidence? And when did we want to talk about this? Yeah. And since Sarah Boone is indefinitely available anytime anyone else wants to show up, I've been in court. It's hilarious when they talk at the end. They're like, okay, when are we going to schedule the next hearing? One of the attorneys would be like, yeah, I'm going to be in Acapulco then.
Yeah,
and like, well, how about November 3rd? The judge is like, no, that's when all the judges get together for a judge thing. And then the prosecutor's like, yeah, that week's no good for me either. And they're just like, and then it's almost Christmas. The whole month of December, I really like to celebrate Christmas.
Like bad holiday
Let's just
time.
reconvene back here in 2025. And then like you look over at the defendant and you're like, you just sentenced this guy to 60 more days in jail because you're going on vacation. Do you not realize that?
Right. You just announced that croquet is more important.
I have to I don't feel bad for Sarah Boone because she was always going to do life. But sometimes, when I've escorted people to court, and just because these judges and attorneys are so busy, and it's just like they really, all of them seem to have no regard for the idea of a speedy trial. To me, a speedy trial is, I want this done in 4 days. I think maybe that's where Sarah Boone's coming from. She really wants this to be over and done with, particularly since in Sarah's alcohol rattled mind, she really does think that this is simply a case of her sitting down and explaining her side to it. And anyone who's reasonable is going to understand and let her go that day with her blessing. But the judges and attorneys really do kick the can down the road. And if she has any merit to anything, I would say the whole speedy trial thing. Possibly.
I'll give her that. But just think about this, John. This is
just waved that on her own though by being a shit the entire time.
This is her 3 years into being sober, so her mind has had time to rewire over 3 years. Hopefully, she's not drinking that much in the jail.
Yeah, she's probably getting a little bit of Pruno, but I honestly think she was extremely damaged by her level of alcoholism. I think she got a little bit of brain damage, to be honest. I don't know pre-alcohol Sarah Boone, but I don't think she was ever very smart. I believe at one point during the competency hearings, someone said something about her just not being very bright or something, and she just sits there and there's no reaction at all or something.
Yeah,
They put it in terms in which they just flew right over her head, or she wasn't listening or something.
she's basically like, how dare I?
How dare I not be smart enough?
What else can I do? Sarah asks, who else can I seek help from? I have you and God, Judge Wooten. If I do have an attorney, where is he? There's so much to do all over in my case. Hopefully the right way this time. Off to a rocky start, where I wonder how more extended my time will be on top of the almost soon to be 36 months, parentheses 3 years already. Is this how justice system really works? Am I being penalized for wanting to be fully involved in everything in my case and intelligent enough to know how my case is being handled is unjust and, from my point of view, disastrous, considering I'm still sitting here in Orange County jail, counting the days and praying my sixth attorney contacts me and we can move forward, finally coming to an end to the seemingly endless debacle. I'm sure George thinks it's a debacle. You would think, considering this circus show my entire case is being made out to be, with all the hype, sensationalism, and publicity.
The comm center.
Yeah. And in parentheses, I received a letter all the way from across the pond in England the other day. Close parentheses. It would be being handled more professional, better. So that's
more professional, better.
Right. I learned something new every day about facts, events, and outcomes in my case from all the inmates and officers as well. I wonder if they might know where my attorney is. So what she's basically saying is, the world is watching you, Judge, and I'm putting you on notice in this letter that the world is watching you.
You know what's preposterous, though, is that anyone knows more about the case than she does. She's the one that murdered the guy. Like, I get that procedurally she doesn't know where she's at.
Yeah.
But there's nobody that knows more about what's happened than she does. Like, the lawyers are all just trying to figure out what you know, Sarah, and the best way that they can present that to a jury.
Bottom line, please understand, I don't want to be here any longer. No shit. I don't want to be hindered any longer in getting just to the starting line. Again, I don't want to be suppressed in being heard finally, truthfully, and correctly. So when, Judge Wooten, when will I hear from my attorney? Or you, please, just with some type of response other than a copy of my letters I keep sending, which I already have. In the meantime, it's my understanding the following documents have been filed in my case since the appointment of Frank Bankowitz, my attorney, MIA. 7-Eleven Bankowitz appointed, a PTC order, She lists 6 or 7 things here. That's it. In the almost 4 months I've been a client of Mr. Bankowitz, this is the only progress. What's next? Where are my copies of everything filed? Ever. This is one way I can have some idea of what's happening. And please remember, I have no access to a computer nor any reliable outside resource to check anything for me, which is contradictory to what you just said 2 paragraphs ago. Please mail copies. I'm trying to come up with any solution possible to keep me, the other party in my case, informed and updated. This is also part of the court's responsibility.
Is it?
Judge, I would, looking at you, Judge, I would especially think, knowing I've not heard from my attorney in any way for 11 weeks, I want to be included. As always, I thank you for your time and your understanding. Please, however...
I love the hard change at the end, because you did the same thing in the last letter. Like, you have disappointed me for the last time. God's put us on each other's paths. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Right. If you were here, I'd stab you in the eye. Now, Jesus has a plan for both of us. As always, I thank you for your time and understanding. Please, however you are able. I am not helpless. I am ready to get this show on the road to hear from someone other than myself asking the same question over and over. what's going on in my case? Or how many pens will I exhaust asking?
Oh, my Lord.
Grateful and potentially waiting. I await your response. Sincerely, Sarah Boone, by return of post.
Love Sarah Boone.
Yep.
Her letters would get more insane. And if you guys love that, like I said, please leave a comment below if there's a particular letter you would like us to reuse. If you want us to move out of the Wooten era and move into the Judge Michael Cranick era, or have AI read out loud the letter that she wrote petitioning for any attorney in the universe to take on her case, we would love it. We appreciate it when you watch the Comm Center. Make sure you're hitting like and subscribe. If you want to be a part of the show, you can definitely do that. You can call us on the hotline, the Jim from Florida hotline. Make sure you're calling us at 848-COMM911. That's 848-266-6911. And Drew, with that in mind, I actually have 2 voicemails this week, and I don't think that both of them are from Jim from Florida. Or what do I got? No, I have 3, and 2 of them are from Jim from Florida, and the third one's not. With your permission, I'll just go ahead and play them.
Hey, John and Drew, this is Jim from Florida calling. Lake and Riley was an excellent podcast. We should never forget what happened there, and just the positive that's come out of it, making our country safer. But I have a question about it, if you know. What were the circumstances of the suspect from whatever country he was from prior to him coming here? Was he in prison? Was he let out of prison? Was he in a mental health facility? What did he do in his home country? Thank you. Keep up the good work.
I believe he was from Venezuela. He crossed over into the United States near El Paso in 2022. He actually is married to someone. I don't know where his wife is. He was living in a studio apartment with, I believe, as many as 5 other people, including his brother. There's the association by either directly or by way of his brother with the Tren de Aragua gang. So it's possible that, I mean, it's not really easy to get biographical information on him out of Venezuela, particularly since, he left that country, to come up here illegally.
There's no application. Like it's not like,
yeah, he didn't put down like what his job was and things like that. And
he was a blacksmith, I think.
We're not trying to be smart, but it's just like, it really is hard to come by that information because he came here as an unknown figure. We certainly didn't know.
It's a great question.
We didn't know that he's a sex predator. If we had any idea that he was capable of that sort of thing, and it's possible he committed those acts in his country and fled the country there too.
It's great that Jim, Jim will always make you think, which is great. But this is another point that I let lay dormant. How many unsolved cases is he part of? Like either sexual, you can't even say the words. Either SA cases, SB cases, or homicides. Like how many others has he done? Like it's not like there wasn't a willingness to carry something a little bit too far just to get what he wanted. So and maybe it was just a one-off. Maybe he just like, I'm not even making light of it. Just like maybe he missed home, or you know what I mean, or he just wasn't fit in, or like hopefully he's going to spend the rest of his life in a U.S. prison, if not, put in on a gurney with a needle attached to his arm. But
I think he got life in prison, but there's always a chance that he could be sent down to El Salvador. They've got a mega jail down there right now. Marco Rubio's striking a deal with the president of El Salvador that some of our most dangerous convicted felons could be deported to El Salvador. El Salvador says that they'll take convicted inmates from any country. So we don't necessarily have to repatriate them to Venezuela to serve time in Venezuela by way of Guantanamo Bay, which is something the Secretary of Defense has been talking about. But El Salvador has a prison down there, and they will take our guys. And guess what? Don't worry. The United Nations has already stated that this prison is a concrete pit. It is a cruel abomination to human rights. So hopefully we can get that guy going down there pretty quick.
I fear letting him leave this country. You got here illegally, but you committed the most heinous crime that you could possibly commit here. You took away like a bright star from our sky. And I don't want you to go back to some other country where somebody can pay somebody else to get you out and let you live
Venezuela
free.
would be the place
Like,
to do that.
So, like, yeah, I'll pay the money for your 3 hots and a cot. You're going to stay there for the rest of your life. And, think about it every day. Think about what you did every day. If you go back down to Venezuela and they put you in a labor camp or something like that, or they do the old switcheroo where they're
Or
like,
if Trent Arg is running your prison.
Yeah, right. Or MS-13 or whatever. I mean, like MSNBC 13. If they just decide, like, we're going to have a big prison break and he's like the second or third guy out, we've lost. Like, her life was worth that. Her life is worth keeping him here. By the way, there should be maybe I'll do this in a video on my own, but I one time covered the fact that there's a staggering amount of money for each homicide case in the United States. It's like $6 million per homicide, because you have to take into account the loss of the person, the loss of income, the loss, the court trial, the hearings, the status hearings afterwards, the lights, at the jail and all this stuff. And all told, each victim is or each homicide that's committed is like $6 million. It's in that ballpark. I mean, there's an actual study that was done. I found it very interesting.
It is. And are you saying you don't trust El Salvador to take our guys?
No.
I'm going to send you pictures of this pit, Drew. I'm going to change your mind.
I know it's I know it's an unbearable. It's a horrible. It's like sub prison, but it's hell on earth. But what are you going to do when the regime change happens? When they get tired of the 3-letter agency running their country and they just install their own government, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to deal with the Secretary of State anymore, or the next Joe Biden comes into office and is like, yeah, that was cruel and inhumane. We're gonna roll back that deal.
That's a good point about stuff getting rolled back in the future. We know that the executive policy will change when the executive branch changes. Counterpoint to that, though, would be like keeping some of these people here in prison for the rest of their lives. I don't know, but I think prison in the United States might be nicer.
Oh, it is.
Than Venezuela. So how much of a punishment is it keeping them here versus saying that ultimately he kind of got what he wanted. He wanted to be in the United States, and now he doesn't have to worry about being on the run or being found out. He's got a tremendous amount of structure back to his life. He doesn't have to worry about a fake social security number or getting a job or keeping an apartment or any of that stuff anymore. In fact, he's kind of set.
I'm not looking for punitive or rehabilitative either way. I want peace of mind knowing that he's off the street. He can't do that to anybody else. And for Lakin's purposes, I think that her life is definitely worth the money, even if it makes not necessarily makes him comfortable, but makes him more comfortable than if he were in a, just because he's in a U.S. prison. I get it. He has certain rights and privileges and TVs and blah, blah, blah. And he can write stupid letters like Sarah Boone. I get all that, but he committed an offense against one of us. We'll keep him here because I want to make sure that he stays right where he belongs. That's my thought.
Want to hear some more from Jim from Florida?
Of course I do.
Which, by the way, if you guys love Jim from Florida, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you are tired of Jim from Florida, you want to tell him to take a flying leap, perfect place to do that is in the comment section below. Please leave a comment.
Hey, Drew and John, this is Jim from Florida. Caught the episode involving the officer-involved shooting in Irvine, California. I thought Irvine did a great job with that summation of the case on that video. I've seen that, and they're talking about making that kind of thing a standard practice for the media and for the public in the era of transparency. One thing I thought was interesting in the video, they showed the suspects looked like a driver's license photograph, and they'd said that he resided in Las Vegas. It's a little bit far away from Irvine, California. Anyway, just very interesting.
Hmm.
The sergeant that was doing most of the talking also did a great job explaining the uses of a body-worn camera. It's seeing what the officer sees, but not everything the officer sees, as well as seeing some things the officer doesn't, and it cannot tell how the officer is feeling. Anyway, keep up the good work, guys. Good show. Bye.
This is Jim from Florida is about to be featured. I'm in the process of gathering stuff.
He's replacing me.
No, he's not. I'm gathering significant case file from a significant case to bring you guys, and it's going to be
Was it
amazing.
the people versus Drew Breasy that time that you?
No, this is way beyond Sarah Boone level.
Oh, okay. I think that Irvine did do a really good job of explaining it, and explaining the body cam limitations and mentioning that the officer has impressions and feelings about what's going on. They were talking about police activity and intervention in a case like that. If you haven't watched the episode, go back and watch it. But that policing is a human experience, and that there's no amount of technology that can adequately put you in the shoes of the officer at that moment. I think that's something that really needs to be translated to the public, because the public, for some reason, has this expectation that police officers and 911 dispatchers, for that matter, are always going to do the job to a superhuman level all the time. And that anytime police officers respond to a call, anything less than a perfect outcome is what should happen, or nothing less than a perfect outcome. So when the police officers in Irvine roll up and they find this guy attacking his mother with a knife, are there critics out there who say that the mother should have 100% been saved and this guy shouldn't have been shot? When police officers arrive on a scene, sometimes it's just too bad for us to be able to do anything about it. We're always responding to the evil deeds of other people. They're always going to have an advantage in that way. And I know the police officers in Irvine can't go on camera and say that, but I think it's important to acknowledge that sometimes we're just beaten at that game, and we do our best to respond. I have one last voicemail if you'd like to hear it.
Have at it.
I'm not going to enjoy this.
Comm Center, it's your friendly neighborhood from the north of the border.
Canadian.
Just wanted to say, love the episodes lately. Keep it up. Love the quality of the guests and everything. Also, the big hockey game the other day. Beautiful. You got to love to see the Mitch Marner pass to Connor McDavid and scores that beautiful overtime goal. Love to see it. A win on the enemy's turf, as they say.
Enemies,
love to see the Bennington saves, just shutting out the shots on net and OT. Just amazing agility Bennington's got. So, yeah, I just wanted to brag a little bit about that, and wish you guys all the best. And give me a shout if you dare.
Yeah, so I love how you're bragging about the 10th most popular sport in the United States.
Oh, no. After that, I'm telling you, the NHL did wonders by creating that series, that Four Nations face-off.
Boring.
No. Because they created so much tension between the U.S. and Canada that
tension was already there by Canada being lame. And by the way, when you call me, you're paying 15% more from now on.
People are at the point where they're calling the comm center to brag about the victory of.
Listen,
of
we gave that last game to you so that you would apologize for booing our national anthem, and I ain't heard shit from Canada. So guess what? It's on like Donkey Kong, my maple syrup chugging buddy.
Syrups. Yeah.
Taking you on. We're going to be bringing you an update on a case we first brought to you in January. The Sheriff Mickey Stein's case. He shot a judge in his chambers. That guy's been in jail since September. We're going to go through all his crazy letters, wondering how long it will take for him to finally explain why he shot that judge. We'll see you back here next week.
He underlines a lot.
He underlines.
It just is a preview.
Lot of stuff, a lot of italic stuff. He's from Kentucky, though, so a lot of his spellings.
Yeah, just don't forget, folks, this all started with the 911 call, as they all do, and you can review in our playlist, our A to Z Sarah Boone episode playlist, which is always fun to review. We also have a very wildly popular podcast that is a Comm Center series. It's one of a couple we have. One is for Hannah Payne, one's for Sarah Boone. So please enjoy those, ingest those, and rate and review if you can.
Also share them with a friend.